Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. Retirement was not on the menu. I tried a few different times to figure out how to retire. Thought the military would be one way, joined the Marines. They downsized after Desert Storm. I thought maybe law enforcement would be the way, but I got laid off when they downsized after the 2008 housing crash. And so I just kind of figured I'm probably going to work until I die. I found myself as a single parent, 3 kids. After getting laid off from that police department, I found out about $89,000 in bad debt in my name I didn't know existed until the divorce. I started teaching at a CDL school making $17 an hour. Small school, no pension. When I started there, no retirement plan. I think I remember many times telling people, I don't know if I'm ever going to retire. I'm definitely not going to retire early. I might not even retire late. I'll probably die on a job site like my dad did in his 70s, still working. Retirement was definitely not on the menu. And so around 2010, I started saving, started paying attention to my money, and I realized I don't make a lot. I have a lot of debt. I'm probably going to work until I die. After 2 years of saving and getting my credit score fixed and renting an apartment so I could rent out my house to get around my bad debt to income ratio, I bought a duplex. And this was 2013 or so when everybody was saying prices are above 2008, don't buy, it's going to crash. Well, I bought that duplex and I lowered my cost of living, right? Instead of paying $1,500 a month for an apartment, I started paying around $300 a month for my part of the mortgage that the tenant wasn't paying for. I still had to work, I still had the debt, I still have the kids. Retirement was not on the menu. I continued to work, a ton of overtime, worked a side hustle, kept saving, no vacations, driving old cars. In 2015, so a couple of years later, I bought another duplex because I wanted to put my money somewhere that I had a little bit of control. It wasn't a retirement account. I wasn't thinking about retirement. I was just thinking, if I owned a rental and I made a little bit more money every month than what I'm making from my job, my kids will get the best thing that I can do for them. I definitely wasn't thinking generational wealth. I was thinking, at some point when I'm older, I might not be able to work, or I might not be able to work full time, or I might lose my med card and can't drive a truck, and I might have to take a lower paying job. And a little bit of income from a rental property would make it to where my kids don't have to take care of me. So my goal, buying that first duplex that was an investment property, not to house hack, not to lower my cost of living, was to find a way to make a little extra money so that when I'm too old to work, my kids don't have to take care of me. Then in 2018, I purchased another duplex. This gave me a total of about 7 units. I started making a couple of $1,000s a month in cash flow. But with the kids, I was spending a lot more than that. So even in 2018, with 3 duplexes, my house, I had 7 rental units, retirement was definitely not on the menu. I started to really enjoy my job teaching. I didn't know that I'd be good at teaching or that I would enjoy it as much as I did. And teaching people how to drive trucks, to learn a new career, to provide for their families, to take somebody who's never been in a truck or used a clutch before on the freeway with a 105,500 pound gross weight vehicle and watch their eyes light up when they realize that the bigger the vehicle is, the easier it is to drive. And I just loved teaching. And I realized my rentals are starting to make a decent amount of money. Not enough to retire on, but I don't care that I'm not making a lot of money at the job I had. So when my boss offered me raises, I wasn't working for the raises. I was working because I loved my job. In 2020, I moved into my second house hack. I bought a 4-plex and lived in 1 unit and rented out the other 3. And that almost doubled my cash flow from my small portfolio that I had. And retirement was definitely not on the menu in 2020. I loved my job. I got demoted all the way down to president of the company, had control of my schedule, loved what I was doing, still got in the truck when I could, still taught when I could. Did a lot of presentations on bases in colleges and work source offices. My goal was, like I've heard many people say in their lives, find a job that you love and you never work again in your life. But again, I wasn't planning on retiring. So in 2020, I actually took all of my money out of my retirement accounts because I figured, why would I have money in a retirement account if I don't plan on retiring? And I took that money and I bought a triplex. Again, adding more to my cash flow. Around this time, I started making as much or more from my rentals as I was making from my job, even with the demotions down to president of the company. So in 2021, I purchased another duplex. Retirement was still not on the menu. I was saying through the entire year of 2021, on many interviews that I did, as I was teaching people not just how to drive trucks, I started teaching people how to buy rental properties, how to manage them yourself, how to put your money to work. I was still saying, I'm probably not going to retire early. I'm one of those people that's probably not even going to retire late. And then in 2022, with the money piling up, I had started to take a few trips. I went to Colombia for, I think, a couple months. I went to Thailand for a couple of months. I went to Florida, the Australia of the United States, for a couple of months. And I realized how amazing time freedom is. So the original goal was make sure my kids don't have to take care of me when I'm too old to work. But in 2022, a decade of investing with no retirement goals, not even retiring late goals, I flipped a switch and I realized that time freedom, to be able to travel to, where am I? I'm in Frankfurt currently. I'll be headed to Yellowstone. When I get back from that, I'll be going to Scotland. When I get back from that, I'll probably be spending the winter in Thailand. All of this is possible, not because I wanted to retire early, not because I wanted to retire late, but because I woke up one day and I realized it was my job to pay attention to my finances. So even with retirement not on the menu, the small decisions you make today, if you start in 2025 and you just start saving, 2027 you buy a property or you invest the money you're saving in stocks or crypto or something, or start a business. Because those people that continuously only work from 9 to 5 to build someone else's dream, and they never work from 5 to 9 to build their own dream, probably will work until they die, or will have to have their kids take care of them when they're too old to continue working. And I saw how my kids took care of pets. That's actually the last thing I wanted to do. I don't want them taking care of me. I want enough financial income coming in that I don't have to sell my life for 1 hour at a time, so I can hire a paid professional. Even if you don't plan on retiring, even if you don't have kids, if you start paying attention to your finances and you start putting your money to work, in 10 years, the options you have will let you make choices that you're not even thinking about today. Because as I said at the beginning of this video, retirement was not on the menu, wasn't a goal, wasn't even an aspiration. I didn't think it was even possible. Wasn't why I started investing. But because I invested, and not because I ended up with 8 properties, but because I had one property for almost a decade, one property for 8 years, one property for 6 years, and I had all of those years for possible rent increases, possible refinances to a better rate, possible value adds where I could add a closet to a den and make it a 3-bedroom instead of a 2-bedroom. All of a sudden, I'm making about 5 times what I ever made in my W-2 job from income I don't have to work for. Well, yeah, I worked for a decade. I saved and I invested and I lived frugally. I had no vacations, had those old cars, didn't eat out. I lived the life that no one wanted, so now I can live the life that almost no one can. And remember, if you reach the point where I'm at, a lot of people are going to be jealous of what you have, but nobody's going to be jealous of what you did to get there. Have a day full of amazing. I will see you. If you want your questions answered during a live stream every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, even when I'm traveling in another country and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning when I'm doing it. I do a live stream that generally lasts as long as the questions do.